Here we go. Hopefully all the audio levels are okay today. Um, Happy Monday. Hopefully everybody's having a good having a good start of the week. I guess I should say. I think it's a bit too early to say have a good week. But oh, I actually need to edit my stream, don't I? Because I had it on something else last time. Give me 1 second. There we go. Nope, that ain't it. Oh, I always forget how to do that. No, don't do that. That's... Yep. Okay. Uh, no, not the channel, the creator dashboard. That should be where it is, I think. Oh god. Okay, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. Right? No, edit. There we go. Yeah, we ain't doing Palia today. I don't think people were into that, so we probably won't do it again, which is fine. That would be a very chill stream, I suppose. There we go. Okay, stream is fixed. That is up. Audio is working as far as I can tell. Hopefully, anybody out there that is having issues. Oh, I'm washed out. So bad. That's okay. The sun is very bright today. Um, right. So happy Monday. Hopefully everybody's weekend was a good one. Mine was great. Got to go to some museums and vibe, and yeah, it was a great weekend. It really was. So we got a new fridge, which is nice because ours was real busted. Now it's just a matter of getting rid of the old fridge. Um, so that's gonna be a fun errand to run. But I'm very thankful to have a new fridge. Um, if you were here last week, I still haven't uploaded the stream from Friday onto the YouTube yet, so that should be later today. I didn't want to start it while I was streaming, just in case it caused like lags in everything that's running right now. So I will do that after today's stream. So around 2 my time, I'll get that set up. So if you weren't here on Friday, you can head over there and check it out. Yeah, so we talked a lot about gods and the general setup of the pantheon itself. We were working on um, both positive gods and the negative mirrors of each of them. We got most of them figured out, I think. Yeah. We are toying with the idea potentially keeping it to eight is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. Um, Eight for each, not counting their, big boss lady. Which, yeah, not sure yet. Not 1,000% sure of how we're gonna deal with that because we were just having issues thinking of enough ideas and uh, aspects to create gods for. So, we're in that kind of weird period where we're not so sure if what's best right now. So, I'm actually going to move away from the gods for a while, not a while, but for this stream, I think. And gonna head back over. I was working on some locations. I got Hollow Hill kind of figured out in the general aspect, enough to describe it to the characters and like answer any questions. So now, um, now I have a choice, basically, of whether or not I would like to try to set up more locations, things set more in, the physical world, um, figure out more about the magic systems, which could be interesting, uh, or going back to like general um, game prep, like actual adventure prep, things that can come around later that they can go do. Um, because I'm only a couple weeks away from my first. Oops, oh, too far, too far. That's not February, that's February. Yeah, so I got 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3 ish, before I have to have. I start running the game itself. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. There's a lot that I want to do. I posted when I posted my stream announcements on socials that the brain fog is real, just because this weekend was busy. It was busy in a good way. I'm not complaining at all. I feel actually very lucky to have such a good weekend after a really rough week. I don't know if anybody else had to deal with a rough week, but I don't know. I'm gonna blame the moon. I'm gonna blame the planets or something. Because all that just felt real rough, just emotionally, and yeah, it was not fun. So, so I'm trying to get the brain fog off and do some general like creativity exercises, I guess. Let me get over here. I gotta look at my. I guess I got the planes too to figure out. I get. Oh, hey Azul. I'm glad your weekend was good at least, and hope today will be great as well. Yeah, so far today's been really good. Um, yeah, we went with Stefan's mom to the Dali Museum, and it was very cool. St. Pete is a super cool town. Uh, so, ouch. But thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. This stream might be a little all over the place because my brain is still a bit slow. I haven't worked out yet today. I'll be doing that this afternoon, so maybe that's what it is. Uh, so let's see. It's also cold. It's hard to think when it's cold. I got like a full wool blanket on my lap right now. It's cold. It's cold. It's colder in my house than it is outside, actually. It's usually how it is. So I've got the magic systems. At least I'm gonna make a page for it because that's the first step. Magic system. And this isn't. I mean, we all know the magic system of D&D in general, but this I am changing a bit of it. Because I've got, and I might need to come up with different names because I've got ceremonial magic. That's wizards and tomes and the like. And then you've got tribalistic magic or tribal magic. Tribal magic sounds better. Tribal magic. Spells and rituals passed down through word of mouth in a tribe or tribes, let's be honest. Word of mouth within a community. Let's say it like that. Within a community. That's good. And then, of course, we have folk magic. This is your generally, I guess casual isn't the right word necessarily, so it's like, if you can call it such, it's mundane magic. But I know those are two differing ideas. But it's magic practiced by the individual to simplify and enrich life. Uh, Born out of connection to place or nature. No, or to place. Um, so this is the folk magic is the kind of magic that kind of exists pretty widespread historically. Generally, if you read about any archaeological finds, um, there in a lot of cultures there is reference or ideas there that show that houses had altars like all the time, like personal altars to your household, and generally it was one entity that you had an altar based to, or maybe multiple depending on the makeup of it. But houses had altars much more often. Like if you know anything about Japanese culture, there's it's common that there's some sort of Shinto or Buddhist or what have you shrine in just a normal house. You can, where you can like have pictures of your ancestors who have passed on, that kind of thing. So, folk magic I look at as the marrying connection between tribal and ceremonial in this world. It kind of takes from both and makes it its own thing. So that's my initial idea. I needed something to I needed things to cover all because this game is cozy and it is witchy. Those are two things that I'm trying to get this game to have and to reference. And so I'm looking at different branches of witchy stuff and occult beliefs and pagan or otherwise outside of your Abrahamic religion practice. And I'm trying to make sure those are all covered so my players have the option to practice in character however they would practice. I already have a wizard, so that's your ceremonial magic. I've got my warlock is another in between ceremonial and tribal, so it's folk. Um, but it might lean one way or the other. It's also a range. Like it's you can go in between them and practice different things, just like multiclassing, really. Because what you find, what you learn, what you are taught throughout your life changes how your rituals change. So that's my thought process. It's a little bare bones right now, and that's okay. Again, maybe my players will help figure out ideas. Maybe they'll like certain aspects of it, or you know, um, they'll have suggestions for like a fourth branch of magic, or however they wanna involve themselves in it. So I don't want to figure out every single minute detail because I want my players to have a say in how things work in the world as well, because I want it to be fun for everybody. So I also have Races of Galdor. Here we go. Um, I had an idea. So goblinoids. They're Since I have one of my players playing a goblinoid, but they're a little different. Because they have a tail. They're like forest goblins, so they're very specific. They're a specific type of goblin. So there might be like rock goblins and any number of things, but they're playing a forest goblin. So um, actually, let me just do forest goblin because the other ones might not even come up. Tribalistic communities, largely based around size and strength, and physical strength. But I gotta bring up Discord so I can read what I am, what I've already written to the player specifically. Um, because their clan that they come from, their tribe, of goblins is an offshoot of another clan that is a peaceful clan, which is not necessarily unheard of, but very rare. Because I think what happened is they broke away from the bugbear and the general leaders of goblin cultures like bugbears and hobgoblins and big dudes. So this group broke away, probably ran away. Let's be honest, and and they made their own tribe. So it is only goblinoids, like goblins, like small, and I know they're sneaky and they flee through treetops using their tails as balance. Um, and my goblin player named their character Spore, so like mushrooms, like spores of mushrooms, and his character has a wife named Soup, like the food. Is that not the cutest thing? And so um, hang on, get to the right channel. What did I write? I think it was no, it was in this one. The let's see, I wrote up the tribe itself. Hang on. There we go. The Quiet Crow Clan, located in the Harlequin Forest. Here we go. Um, clan, yada yada yada. All right, that's my reference to their clan is a rare peaceful one, sometimes breaking their solitude to trade with outsiders. To know more of the outside world, your clan started as an offshoot family of the Gnawed Bone tribe, known for cannibalistic tendencies, but the beginning of your clan decided to split off and go another way. Your clan is known for being the sneakiest and hidiest of the forest goblins, particularly using your prehensile, tufted tails for balance as you sneak and race through the treetops. So that's what I have for them specifically. Um, so, uh, and then where's the naming conventions bit? That was in this one. Go down. Okay. Tribes' naming conventions are based around the first thing that the goblin child made or offered to the tribe, and that's also what decides your sort of role. So Spore became a forager because he was good at finding mushrooms, and Soup was good at making those foraged things into food, so she's a cook. There you go. So that's what the Quiet Crow clan kind of embodies. It's a very peaceful clan, and it's not necessarily solitary. Like I said, they do break their general solitude to trade with people. Maybe they're just a little bit more curious. So, Quiet Crow, they collect cool things, bones, seeds, plants, whatever it is that that particular goblin is into. Or all of those things, of course. So, so yeah, that's what I've got for goblins so far. Uh, then I'm going to add Gyna Sphinx because we have one. Yeah, Sphinx. And then I've got elves and half-elves. I've got to decide what kind of racial tendencies people have because the character's backstory has to do with some racial issues. But I think that's just in the one place that they happen to be at. So, uh, okay. Elves, halflings, halfling, um, Gyna Sphinx, Goblin. Okay, that's all four of my races. Hi, Edwin. Welcome in. Nice to see you. Thanks for dropping by. We're just talking races today after a lot of talk about our gods and our pantheon and stuff last week. I'm just trying to come back down to earth because I had a very good but very busy weekend, and I'm still a little tired from it. So trying to find where the my mind takes me right now. Um, so I also have character backstory stuff that I want to work on, but I might work on that stuff off stream just in case one of my players is watching this. And only kind of talk about it when I it becomes, relevant to the story and we're already deciding things. Um, that's probably what I'll do. So I do have to make notes to that, but I'll do that later. Um, so we figured out the Shadowfell and the Feywild are both not necessarily mirrors of the material plane, but they're dreams of the goddesses, the main goddesses of both the top and the bottom of the pantheon there. I forget what we're calling it. Did we come up with a name for it? I don't remember. I gotta figure that out. So the Celestial Garden is the top. What would we call? What's the opposite of celestial? I mean, like terrestrial, but that's not what I'm going for. It's not terrestrial. Um, Do any of their backstories mention anything about their race and traditions? I am trying to inspire them to talk about those things. They're pretty new to highly narrative, roleplay based type of game. So I'm asking questions and getting more and more details as we go. And some of them we're just creating together, and some of them they told me they wanted me to create it. So anything that I come up with, I let them know what I'm thinking, and they're like yes or no. The Goblin player just had the uh, just mentioned that they had a wife, so I have to figure out like marriage traditions too, which will be fun. Um, and that their name was Soup, and I'm just like, well, my mind just took that and was just like, okay, this is based on like what the first thing you do as a goblin, and that's kind of um, your coming of age moment is when you can bring something to offer to the tribe. And that is when you're kind of considered an adult, quote unquote, by goblinoid standards. So it'll be really fun to name all of these goblins named after things that they brought to the camp, like bread and like toast. That's just it's adorable to me, and I let them know that idea, and they loved it. So we're running with that. Um, my other character, my warlock, is an orphan, kind of ousted uh, from general society. So there's really no traditions there that they know of that will maybe be discovered as we play the game. The halfling is, interestingly, we were discussing that, and the halfling ranger player gave us a suggestion of that they are like 5'0", and we were just like, "That's really tall for a halfling. You're half halfling now." And she didn't know that halflings had like a topmost measurement. So we were like, no, 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 don't change that because now we're gonna mess with that. So uh, her character is a half halfling, and I still have to talk about what the other race she wants is, if she wants just a human, and which parent she wants as which. I'm assuming mom is is the halfling, and that's another thing is like her. It gets disturbing when you meet the goblin called Head of an Annoying Paladin. That would be an impressive goblin. Let's be honest. He would just be called Boss. I think a great fighter, yeah, that kind of thing, or enemy. No, that would be mean, wouldn't it? Well, they might not even think that far ahead. Maybe just like dead enemy. Your name is dead. Uh, so so yeah, I because like isn't that, and I don't know if this might be bound in stereotype, and maybe I'll just avoid saying that and do my own research. I'll research if I'm thinking the right thing. Um, there's some naming convention idea that I swear I've heard in a real culture, but I don't know if it's true. It might just be a movie thing. I don't know. I gotta look it up. Anyway, never mind. Not important. Uh, But that's kind of the vibe I'm going with for the. They're going to be a very functional society, but also very curious. So again, Spore has been told to go out and find shinies, find valuables for their tribe to continue on as its own entity, or maybe to get more powerful, or some semblance of things. I gotta write out their flashback scenes. Um, that I will probably also do off stream again, so just in case my players come across this, they don't have to worry about getting spoiled. I hope thus far I've avoided any specific spoilers. I know there's been a couple times where I'm like, stop listening now. Uh, yeah, about the halfling being half something. Yes, so I'm guessing that dad is the other thing and mom is the halfling. I have to ask the player what the other half is and which parent is which. So we'll figure that out. Hopefully sometime this week. Because she wants to be short by human standards, but very tall by halfling standards. And we were like, no, 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 no. You're keep it. Keep your keep all of that. We're not gonna remake your character just because you want to be tall. We're gonna make you a halfling and just kind of choose the racial trait, like have the racial traits stay the same. Because yeah, it might be an elfling. I've gotta ask them and get their ideas before I decide anything. Because I always enjoy when people come up with other half races rather than just half elf. Howdy, Babakis. Welcome in. We are just talking about the races of the. How do you do? I'm doing just fine. How are you doing today? Welcome in. We're just talking about world building and the races of the world in a D&D campaign that I'll be running here in February soon. So, excited. Good. Glad to hear it. Um, uh, yeah, so yeah, we're gonna I'll have to ask her later today probably and then get their answer hopefully soon. And from there it should be primarily composed of dwelfs. I mean, it might. I just like. Okay, that's what I was saying. I like it when people come up with other. Or okay, we're gonna avoid horks, I think, because it sounds like you're coughing up a hairball. Uh, when artists and stuff come up with other half races, because it's just like, why only half elves and half orcs? Like, why aren't there half halflings or half, any of half tieflings? Any race you want in your world not currently played, as you might player input on their races. Uh, Please do not insult the half orc. They are proud and normal. I love half orcs. I love playing half orcs. Um, any specific? I always love if you've ever like looked on. There's artists that will do beautiful drawings of like half races, and they'll put like orc as the base race, but then they go through all of the other races and put each one as a half. Like half orc, half dragonborn is so badass. It's just like spikes and tusks and fangs, and it's just like they're so cool. So I'm gonna consider all races, half races, to exist in this world in some way or another, um, and then go from there. And just like any that speak to me in that moment for like an NPC or what have you, uh, I will put in basically. Um, so yeah, that's I'm just gonna consider like all races exist. I already have a Gynosphinx. Like that's literally the first of its kind. I've never heard of another player playing a Gynosphinx. I'm very excited to mess with the lore of that race and it's starting. And my cat is deciding to climb onto plants, which I don't appreciate. Back, get get down. Sorry, get. Thank you. Sorry, he's gonna knock something over. Uh, right. So as for like full races that maybe don't exist elsewhere aside from the Gynosphinx, um, I know for a fact this isn't a new race, but I'm changing the lore of the Kenku because I don't like it. I really don't like a cursed race for whatever I forget. I don't even remember the reason Kenku are cursed to not have a voice. But I'm literally simplifying all that, and I'm just making them people that crow people, so they can't talk biologically, but they can mimic, and that just makes sense to me. And crows are one of my favorite birds, so I'm gonna have crows in my campaign, and I'm gonna have crow people in my campaign because they're cool. Um, so that's what I think that's what I'm gonna do with Kenku from now on, just because I don't like that whole background story at all that the D&D system has. So that's just me. Definitely a lot of Fey races, just because I love messing with the Feywild. Maybe something a little, since I have that whole idea of like the other gods and the other planes coming in and like dropping different, creatures. There might be some more like alien based. That's the other thing is, and this, I haven't thought about how this is going to fit into the world yet, but we'll get there. But uh, Warforged, very cool, very fun race. But I don't like again a race. They will have been created way back, and maybe they were created for war way back. But if anyone has ever read A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers, which is one of my all-time favorite books, it's their itty bitty books. It like took me like 4 hours to read it. It's super super simple book, but it is the most beautiful book. Basically, what it is, it's in the far future on a like a moon of a planet, and or no, it's actually another planet. But regardless, we have left Earth. Earth. It's not called Earth, but um, a Earth-like planet. Let's say that an Earth-like planet was destroyed by automation and overabundance of technology and robotics and that kind of thing. So what we're doing to this world. And eventually it came about that the world like put in very specific parameters for future colonies of like the stars of different planets to work with the planet itself and nature, and it doesn't go beyond and like killing capitalism and things like that. So the robots also had gained sentience, spurring on that decision to limit the amount of automation and things like that. So the robots were let go. The robots wanted the option to go into the wild and build their own society. And we as humanity went, yes, go, bye, and there was an agreement to never have the robots, or never to have the humans seek out the robots, but the robots could seek out the humans. And eventually, in the book, the main character, who's a monk, uh, is contacted by the first robot. Like the first contact is made, and they talk for a while and stuff. But basically, it has been so long in that world that the robots that once were, they're so broken down, that it's something called the robots have become something called wild built. And basically what that means is the robots will a robot will allow itself to die, basically. It will allow itself to break down to the point of dying without fixing itself. And it doesn't have to, it can fix itself over time, but if it decides to allow itself to pass, then those parts from the robot are spread across the other robots in its society. And that has happened so much over so much time that those robots don't remember being robots necessarily. They have always known the world as natural, as living within the natural world. And robots don't need to eat, they don't need to make waste, they don't have to do any of that. So they literally like sometimes they will just stare at things. They will watch stalactites and stalagmites form over hundreds of years, or they'll watch a tree dissolve over however long, because they don't need to do anything other than observe. And so that's what I'm doing with the formerly Warforged in my campaign. They are no longer Warforged, they are now Wild built. Um, as far as societally, I haven't decided if they're going to be a huge part of society or if they're going to be like the robots in the book and not talk to most mortal races. Um, but basically, they started as Gond from his world, putting over some sort of energy or something into Galdor, but that was so long ago that they kind of like that energy was overgrown basically. Like maybe Melora liked that idea, liked the little robot people, thought they were cute or whatever, and went, "Cool, I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to make that out of trees and plants and magic." And Gond goes, I guess. Okay, I thought the gears were cool, and she's like, not in my house. You'll go back and into your clockwork world, and you make your clockwork guys, but I'm making mine out of sticks and shit. You know. So they kind of look like the Spriggans, kinda from Skyrim. If you want a general idea, not every single one looks exactly the same like in Skyrim. They're all going to look different, but they're going to have that kind of natural, organic like branch shape for like the main body and then go from there. Maybe they can trim themselves and shape themselves like a bonsai tree, which would be super cool. But yeah, they're not going to be some sort of uh, like warrior race from a past war that gained sentience. My cats are being amazing today. You alright? Yeah, he's fine. So yeah, those are some ideas for races that I know they already exist. Those aren't new races. I haven't thought of any new ones yet. Maybe sometime that will happen, but not at this juncture. Um, okay, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta hit the bathroom. Talk amongst yourselves. Take a drink. Stretch your body. Eat some food if you need to. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I usually don't use all the races when I build a world. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That is a that is absolutely a valid response because there are a lot of damn races. Then you add more. Oh my God, sorry. My throat is just giving out. Okay. Um, yeah, I haven't. I've never put a limit on races, and maybe I should, but as the game goes on, I will figure out that involves. But I've created the backstory of how races come to be specifically so all races are relevant and can be used so the players don't feel that they don't have options. And I know that that can be a pitfall. Too many options can be a pitfall for GMs, but I'm confident enough in my ability to um, come up with something that makes sense enough for the game to continue for generally any race. So, I mean, the Genasi don't get a lot of attention in my games unless just because they were a late addition for me in 5e. I don't remember if they were in 3.5 or in 4. I started with 3.5. I played a little bit of 4, and then I didn't play for a long time, and then 5e came out, and I've been playing that since. And Genasi came out later, and so it was like a whole other bunch of people like that I could add in, which is fun. But I can make Genasi make sense in my world. They're not going to be genie babies, like basically. I think that's kind of the idea is that they're genie, some sort of genie race or something. I don't know. I've never paid much attention to the backstories of races as written. I enjoy making up my own, and so I think with I guess in a similar vein, the Genasi in my world would basically be the the equivalent of a tiefling, but instead of like a demon, it's a Loa or a nature spirit or the a lesser god. So it's a minor god at maybe like descent because you can ascend to godhood. What if you descended to mortalhood? Like, what if a god just decided to do that? Or if they decided to be like, you're pregnant now. Just God, Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna do that. Um, but something like that, or somebody laid with a god, which is, I mean, thank you for Gale in Baldur's Gate 3 teaching us that that can happen. Uh, so why not God baby? Whatever. um, so yeah, they'd be like basically half lesser god, you know, kind of thing. Not necessarily demigod status, because like the lesser gods are kind of demigod status, but something below that. You know, I'm sure I could find out something better, but we'll stick with Genasi right now, because I'm not worried about it. I try not to get lost in the details with things like that, because again, it's unimportant to the overall story, generally speaking. If there was a player that approached me and wanted to tell the story of playing a Genasi, or knowing a Genasi or something like that, that is a completely different story. But as such, no one has approached me about any other specific races and stuff like that. Lump a few races together in one culture. For example, I put Aarakocra, Haragon, Kenku, Tabaxi, Tortle, and Loxodon in one culture, having originated from merging of animal spirits and humans. If one of the above mentioned races would have a child with a human, the child would be a shifter. Ooh, that's fun. I like that. Yeah, that makes absolute sense. Like the wild blood culture, basically. Um, I haven't had any Aarakocra. I have in my other game. I've made some Aarakocra NPCs. Um, and there's Azamar too, which is a whole other thing. Azamar might be hard for me to fit into my world, if I'm honest. Not hard, but nothing is coming to mind right now. But it's something I can definitely think on as it if it becomes relevant. Um, I love Tabaxi. I mean, I'm a cat person, if that isn't already clear. So Tabaxi are always going to be included at least in one NPC at some point. Turtles I love as well. They can be they can be cool, and they should be longer lived than like human. I think they just gave them like a human lifespan, which is bullshit. I will say they should live like as long as elves, if you ask me. Um, and Loxodon I haven't messed with at all, and I probably should because they're cool. Um, or Haragon. If I were to mess with those that like wild blood like kind of idea, I would want to have like a party of everybody picking one. Like everybody be like a wild race of some sort, and then we can explore upon that because that could be super cool. Um, and they're around in the back, but yeah, I guess if you want to think about it that way, they don't like the Loxodon and all that don't really fit into my version of a fantasy world. But if a character or a player approached me and wanted one, then I'd make it work. And again, too nice GM moment. I don't care. It's a challenge for me to come up with a creative reason these things exist and why maybe the players haven't seen them until now. Um, that kind of thing. So I take that as a challenge. If I truly cannot think of something, then I will come up with like alternatives, something else that can be done that's close, but maybe not exactly. Um, so that's my thought on that. I generally don't limit things off the bat, because I don't like to. I don't like I as a player. I don't think I would play in a game that was severely limited. There are so many races, if you would give all of them their own nation and culture, that would be a lot to create. Yes, that is very true, which is why I wait for a player to approach me with the need of one. I completely understand why GMs don't want to deal with all that, and I completely understand GMs that say no to what have you. But if I were to come up for me as a player, if I were to come up to a table and go, "Hey, I know this race hasn't existed previously," or maybe the GM hasn't made any specific proclamations one way or another, I would approach them with an idea for the nation and culture. I wouldn't just be like, "I want to play this. Make it happen." I would never do that. Ever, ever, ever. And I know, again, maybe players aren't willing to do that. But there's a meeting in the middle that I require as both a player and a GM. Again, I focus hardcore on the collaborative aspect of the game. And so I want players and GMs to have equal stakes in the world. So if I wanted to play something that otherwise the GM hasn't strictly said no to, then I would approach them with an idea. Or at least an offer that we can sit down and build something out together. But maybe that's the difference between like somebody that's just a player and somebody that has GM'd and played. Because maybe a player doesn't think that they have the right to do that, but I try very hard not to allow that to happen at my table personally. And people don't have the free time on their hands that maybe I do, so I completely understand. I ain't got kids. I don't have to worry about a lot of stuff that other people have to worry about. So you can't also, worry about a thousand other things and, build a world that makes sense. So that is completely based by bleh, basis by basis thing that you have to figure out what works for you. Again, the way I do it is not the way everybody should do it. I'm never going to say I do it the right way, and if you do it different, then you're wrong. Never in a million years. Unless you're an asshole and are creepy to your players. Then you're doing it wrong. I'll stand on that, soapbox happily. But As far as world building and creating a game, I don't think there's a way to do it wrong. There's definitely a lot of different ways, and people have to be okay with the realization that either on the player or on the GM side, you're gonna meet people that aren't gonna vibe with you, and you don't belong at the same table together. Maybe you could both be players, but sometimes the GM and player connection doesn't work for two people. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't be friends. It just means you're not the kind of creative that can bounce off each other. So, some races or nations would be big players in the history in the world. Maybe all the others exist, but more as minor players on the world stage. Yeah, they're minor until a player wants to make them major, or I want to make them major. It's thinking too hard. Thinking farther than that at this point in the game would just be burning extra brain calories, and it's like I'm not too worried about it. I enjoy improving things like that off the cuff. So if all of a sudden a player is just like, "Oh, my player has a an adopted sibling that's like a loxodon," I'd be like, "That's awesome. Why?" Like, and we build. That's where I come from. Um, and like to a point, like a little bit of retconning in regards to a story is completely fine, especially if it's a player story, because I feel like that should be a little bit more nebulous and workable as they go and they discover more about the game and all that kind of stuff. Um, Obviously, being like, oh, that god doesn't exist after you have like some mega like storyline involving that god or whatever. That's that's another thing. Like that kind of retconning can break a game. For certain types of players, maybe some players don't give a fuck, but for me, it would break the world to be like, so all of a sudden, like, whoever doesn't exist anymore, or never mind, after too long of setting it up. So that's where I'm at with that kind of stuff. I don't specifically go out to say no to my players outright, unless it is truly, truly, truly against what I think the world is going for. And I can't think of anything that would do that. Um, so that's where I'm at. Um, Tieflings are going to be an interesting thing to try to explain in my world, to be completely honest. They're gonna exist, I guarantee you, because I love tieflings and I'm not getting rid of them. So that's because I haven't tackled the hells yet. Because I have we've figured out the like the bottom and top portions of the celestial realm. So maybe the hells are that in between. Like we were talking about how, we have Galdor as this top and bottom, and then the veil is in between. So if the celestial realm is the top and bottom, the veil might be the hells, and it's this kind of neutral space. Like the hells don't like either of the gods. Like they don't like any version of the top or the bottom of any of the gods. Because none of those are like demons or devils. Those are different things. So is it demons or devils? I can never remember. Anyway, but they might be both in this version of the hells. I don't care. The abyss might be in there too. It's just like we'll just put them all together. Screw it. Um, but tieflings are going to exist, so that's that. I'll challenge myself in explaining why and how later on. I'm not too worried about it at this juncture. Um, but yeah, ultimately, like what's involved in my game is more or less up to my players. Um, that's it. And like to me, if I'm throw something in there and I go this and this, like unless it has a legitimate issue like trigger thing for one of my players, then that's going to exist and they don't get to say no, that kind of stuff. So that's the trade-off. That's the interesting. That's interesting that you put the hells in the middle of your cosmology. Yeah, well, okay. So I haven't read like the Avernus like stuff of what is that? I forget the name of the campaign, but whatever of Avernus that exists that BG takes place afterwards. But I see the Hells as a weirdly neutral place because I think they're going to hate both sets of gods regardless. And I think like Hell, if we're going back to Christian mythology, where the idea of demons comes from. Well, not the demons, but like what they're thinking of, classical, demons. They're all gonna be rebels. They're people and the souls of people that, again, that know God exists. Again, we were talking about that atheist thing in the D&D, in a D&D world doesn't make any sense. But you can still eschew the gods. Where does a soul go if it denies all gods? It goes to hell. And that's its choice. And it might like it there. You know, that's why I'm not putting like gods of murder or, any of that in my world because that's stupid. So all of that kind of stuff, gods of terrible things, gods, they're not gods, but spirits of terrible things are stuck in between these two things. So it's like limbo and hell and all of those other things. I'm shoving Christian mythology. I'm like taking like 6 colors of Play-Doh and just shoving it together until it becomes that weird brown color. That's what hell is. Um, so yeah, it's less that they're. I guess they're neutral, but they're not. They're a war torn like plane that exists between the two. I don't know. That's my initial thought, of course. And so tieflings would be, yeah, I guess if like a warlock, it would be a hell of a story if I had to explain a warlock that then eventually turned back toward a god, or a cleric went to god. Or to Warlock. Like, it would be a very interesting crisis of faith kind of thing. Like, either somebody believes hard and then doesn't, or doesn't believe and then does. It would be an interesting overall thing. But, um, but yeah, it's an interesting thought experiment there, to what place tieflings hold in this society. Again, because I am trying to avoid racial shit, like racial tensions. I don't like it. I think that as far as my table has told, I think enough of those stories have been told. And I don't think I have the full capacity to give justice to that kind of story. And just having racial tensions in your game in a small way where people just like yell like knife ear to you if you're an elf, like, it seems like the DM is just trying to find ways to put slurs into their game. I don't think it adds any depth unless it's done really 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 well, and I don't think I have that in me, really. um that's, I mean, spoiler, if you're one of my players, pause this please and do not watch continually, because I'm going to say some stuff that might spoil something for a character. Please do not watch it. I would appreciate that. I'll give it a minute. Okay. For the tiefling and Asmar, I tend to move away from the default being human shape. If you could be a tiefling born with dwarven parents, you'd look like a dwarf with the tiefling features that, like horns and tail added. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Um, but for my warlock, um, so her whole backstory, and again, don't watch this, Evelyn's player especially. Um, she thinks, and her character thinks, that she was mistreated by the people of that the city that she was born in because she's half elf. Nope, not at all. Actually, what it was was her father is a fae from the Feywild that a woman fell in love with, and they went to the Feywild together, and then he tried to like return her because it was either dangerous or something like that. I haven't figured out the full details yet. I'll figure that out. But she went crazy. She went nuts because there's a thing where it's like if you go to the Feywild and you come back to the mundane world, things don't look right. Things never are the same, because you've seen too many amazing things in the Feywild that you can't get your brain to go back into the material plane, like way of thinking, basically. So she was starting to go mad. She was also pregnant at this time. So her Fey husband eventually came back. He didn't leave her, but he had to leave for a time for Fey reasons. I'll figure that out later. He comes back, sees she's losing her mind, sees that she now has a baby, and goes, I can take you with me, but I can't subject our daughter to the dangers of the Feywild for whatever reason. Say he's like a refugee, he's a rebel, whatever it is, we'll figure that out. So I'm going to take you with me, and I'm going to make sure she's watched over. And a contract is born from that, and the mother would understand that a contract is born with that, and Faye cannot go back on a contract without severe punishment, and they cannot lie. So the mother would leave her daughter behind, and she is cared for by this patron, which is like basically her uncle. And up until a certain point in her life, her patron takes a rather mundane appearance and just kind of gives her things to keep her going. And then eventually when it comes to a head and she suffers too much terrible things from other people, then he comes out and gives her that warlock pact because it's the only way he can protect her from these things anymore. And so it's not based on race. It's people knew that her mother was lay with a fae, left with a fae, come back pregnant, went nuts, and left with the fae again, leaving the daughter behind. So it's not because she's a half elf. It's because she's half magic, and people in this area, in this town specifically, that I've made Farwater, don't trust magic for whatever reason. Um, it's probably very vaguely cultish, like like a mundane world cult, like so that's the general idea. Preppers and stuff like this live in this tiny, tiny town where she was mistreated, and she could never leave necessarily. She couldn't find a way out until she came to that head, and the patron gave her those tools, basically. So yeah, that's the idea. It's not going to be based on race. It's based on the fact that her mother lay with a fae in that kind of witch way, where it's just like I saw your mom, dancing naked in the moonlight in the forest, so you're evil. It has nothing to do with race. It has everything to do with perception of magic, and magic touched people, and that's not necessarily race in my mind. So yeah, that's the initial thought, and I swear to God, if my players are watching this and they got spoiled, I'm gonna be pissed. But I trust them to not do that. Uh, yeah, and that story will unfold as we play and things like that, and she'll be able to discover that her parents are not gone, and that her patron was sent uh, on behalf of her parents, kind of thing. So, if you've seen Futurama, you know that really sweet episode where Leela finds out that she's not an alien, but she's a mutant, and like her, you see that flashback of her going through life with all these little gifts left by her parents over time. It's kind of like that. They're absent, but for her own good. It's better that she was thought something else. And when she traveled outside of Farwater, She's treated a lot better all of a sudden, and that's because, yeah, people aren't racist here. And people aren't scared of magic outside of this one tiny place. So, that's the general idea. Um, yeah. So, again, Azamar, I don't know. Azamar and Tiefling are interesting because Azamar may look different depending on the god that they come from, which is also an interesting idea. But again, that's a lot of detail that at this moment I don't have to think about. If at some point I am so inspired to do so, then I will add an Azamar in, and if the characters ask, then I will explain. But as of right now, I'm not too worried about it. Um, and yeah, the tiefling, like, somebody in your family line made a deal at some point kind of thing, that's could still be relevant here. So I'm not too worried about changing too much of that around. Do I sound tired? My throat feels rough right now. I swear I don't mean to. I was talking a lot yesterday, and like, I guess my throat has just had enough. Tomorrow's gonna be like a silence day. uh, yeah. So those are my initial thoughts on the races and things like that, and I'm excited to play with each of these and change them to fit more my players' uh, expectations and outlooks on these certain things. It'll be fun. Um, I I think I have pretty enough to make the first session like go for at least the full session if they play really fast, and I don't expect them to. So I expect that the first session notes that I have taken will last at least two. I once placed a half orc as part of his backstory. Had that he was discriminated against, people would not talk to him or invite him over, and in general behaved weary around him. Eventually, he snapped, shouting at one of the people in the village, "You all hate me because I'm half orc, don't you?" The villager replies that they don't hate him for who he is, but what he does. The half orc thought about it and then decided to change his life and became a paladin. Oh, that's sweet. Was he like a thief or a fighter, like a just a ne'er do well in general? Was that his whole bit? I love that. Most of his backstory was explained by his background being a tax collector. Oh my god, that's amazing. From tax collector to paladin. I love that. I love that. That's really funny and it makes sense. Of course people that's like a whole thing set in history is tax collectors were constantly fucked with by people. That's amazing. What a fantastic backstory. Like, why did they hate you? Was it because you were a thief or whatever? No, it's because like I completely and utterly legally did a service on behalf of the government that took money from them. I love that idea. I really want to. Please tell me he was like a paladin of like Joaquin or something. Like he still did his accounting shit. I'd love that. Accounting paladin. That's really cute. Mm, I love that. It's so funny. Um, fantastic. Uh, I love that idea. I might steal that. That's fantastic. Just have like a guy that's like super cool now, and he's just like, I came from a hard life. Why? What did you do? I was a tax collector. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. uh, so yeah, being hated not for what you are or what you did, but for what your mother did, and they all expect you to like be Fae, and nobody like talks to you because they expect you to get them into uncool agreements or any number of things. What is it? I have a cat. Are you gonna lay down or are you gonna be hovery? Come here. Um, no, you can't be on the desk right now. No, 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 no. I'm streaming. Say hi. Say hi. Okay. He's being a butthead today. Um, uh, right. So that's the overarching story with her. Excuse me. Oh my god. Oh my god. This weather is just it. I'm so tired. Hi, Edwin. Are you saying hi again, or was that a mistype? Um. Uh. Hey. Oh my god. The cats. Are you saying hi to the cat? That's fair. Okay. Right. Sorry. I swear I can't focus today. I'm so tired from this weekend. Um. So I've got the general races down. I've got the first, at least first session, if not the first couple sessions, and those will evolve as we go. Um, I've got the magic system in its general form again. That will evolve as we talk about it, I think. I've got most of the gods, but I'm not. My brain is not leaning towards that kind of writing today. I'll figure more out about that. Maybe I'll talk to my husband about it again. I was told the cat to say hi, so I said hi back. Yes. Okay. Sorry. That's Asher being a butthead today. Um, the locations. I don't want to. Again, I don't want to build out too much right now. Um, I can't mark roads on this because it won't let me. Is there anything I can do here? Like, can I make it super small? Nope. That's not what I want. Yeah, they won't let me do paths. So I might have to get this up in like paint or something and do it that way. Um, how small can I make this? Hello? No. Mm, no, I'm not gonna. I'm sorry. Go away. There we go. Why is that not working now? Top, foreground? That's weird. Oh, I see. This. Ha ha ha. Okay, here we go. I can make it work. I can make it work. So, so Hollow Hill. I need to add a little thing to mark Hollow Hill. I forgot. Um, this down a bit. So Hollow Hill's like here, let's say. Then paths are under the sixth icon under T. Oh, I know, but I'm not paying for it. Uh, right now. We. So yeah, I have to have the, and I know it's only $25 a year. I know, but we have negated all extra expensive expenses right now, because I don't currently have a job. So there you go. So that's why that looks like that. So I beg your pardon for my cheap tools that I have here, but it also kind of fits the general, no, the general vibe of what I'm trying to do for my game and my community. I just want to show that you can use free tools without having to fork up a bunch of. Oh my god, this cat, air jail, air jail. You are being the worst today. Stop. Um, so that's why I don't have the path tool. I can definitely put it in paint at some point if I want to, but I won't worry too much about that. Was that where Hollow Hill was supposed to be? Is that what I meant? No, I kind of like it better over there. That's fine. Um, all right. I'm not too worried about the roads. Mm. Uh, my brain is fried today. My God. Um, so yeah, are there any like does anybody have any questions specifically? Get me my brain thinking about world building stuff? Like anything that you think should be dealt with and explained before the game actually starts as far as uh world building and stuff goes? That might help me kind of get my brain back under me, so to speak. I'm like my brain is like not going in any one particular direction, so that's why. I beg your pardon if I'm a little woo today, but this weekend was a long one, a very busy one. Oh, I forgot to change my water bottle today, so if that sucking noise that comes out of it is too loud, I apologize. I forgot to switch to my quieter water bottle. Are there any big events going on in the world at the time when the players start? Oh, a calendar! That's true. I should be thinking about that. I know you've mentioned that you want this to be a cozy world, but is there much conflict that the party will get involved with? At first, um, yeah, calendar and holidays are a good idea. I should definitely do that. But at first, the kind of challenges that I'm in the conflict that I'm going to be setting up is not going to be material world based. There is going to be a fight, a big one, that they're going to have involvement in, but it's not going to become clear until much later. I've kind of built an overarching like story beats to hit within certain levels, so I can be sure that the story kind of spreads over several and they can know what getting to a high level is like. I don't know how long this campaign's going to go. I hope for a long time. That's the goal. But so the conflict is going to be largely based upon um, not the overarching conflict for the story, but the day-to-day quote unquote conflict that they're going to have to deal with are going to be based out of clearing areas of harmful creatures and like building things there, finding resources, that kind of thing. If they get bored and they're not having fun with what I'm setting up, that's when I will start introducing more kind of ideas as to what sort of specific conflict. I'm not sure. It's not going to be like a nation to nation conflict. It's going to be a plane to plane conflict. Let's say that. Um, and I'm hoping that my initial story that I have in my head right now will last at least to level 10. Um, that's the hope. Uh, and then after that, we'll see how we can expand. As far as big events, is what Edwin was asking. I do have to figure out a calendar and holidays. There's always the typical ones, the the mirrors to what we have in this world. I haven't decided what season we're in. I think I'm gonna start it in spring, just because again we're matching that Ghibli kind of vibe. So since they're gonna be in town only one day, I don't want to do anything crazy because it'll make them want to stay, and I can't have that. I mean, I could, but I've been working really hard, and I really want this story to be told. So, um, what's something? Yeah, I don't want. So currently, the nation where they start is not engaged in any wars. No, not at all. Not no. So I can't. I need the pathway tool to mark these different boundaries. But Arcadia here, this big bitch, is like this moon shape. Like everything from the sands over to the edges here is Arcadia. That's basically, it's called Arcadia. We were talking about this because there is a plane called Arcadia, and I completely forgot about that in D&D. But Arcadia is called that because the Fae were the first race here. So Arcadia was borrowed from what the Fae called it and kept there after Melora moved the Fae onwards. That was her first attempt at a race. And so think of that crescent shape as our Fertile Crescent. That's where the Fae first started, and they kind of spread throughout the world, thousands, thousands, thousands of years ago. So they're like the first. That's where we'll have our Faerunian style, lots of dungeons and stuff based around the previous main race of the world, which are Fae, which is going to be some weird dungeons, which I'm excited for. um, so no, there are not any current nation to nation wars. I am bad at that kind of storyline, frankly. Again, I just don't think I have the depth of storytelling that is required to tell the story of war in a world like this. The ruler of that little okay, this right here is where um the capital is. That's what it was. Hang on, do I have like a little castle? Here we go. Human tower. Oh, here. Oh, this is cute. Okay, so right here is where the currently unnamed um capital city of Arcadia is. Then the Diamondback Desert and all of these desert areas are considered their own nation as well. I haven't figured out any stories for any of these. And then, like, down here is going to be its own nation. And then up here is going to be its own nation, basically. So and maybe the island nations are separate as well. I haven't decided. Um, and maybe there's little offshoots here and there. Maybe people are trying to make their own way for whatever reason. But as of right now, the queen, the kindly queen, whatever her name is indeed a good ruler. So there's no need for a rebellion. And she is currently working in league with all the rulers of other nations. that's that's what we're deciding right now. If war breaks out at some point, we'll figure out why or what's going on, or if we want to tell that story. There certainly has been wars in the past, probably not in recent memory, maybe great great grandparents kind of thing. Only the elves remember it kind of stuff. Um, and maybe I'll get to the point where I'm writing the backstory in regards to it, but as of right now, I don't have any specific nation to nation conflict. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Just because I want everything to be fine for a while in my world until we start getting into the really real stuff. Um, as far as big events out in the world, um, I did. Where is that? There is a table. Hang on. Where's the DMG? We can make some events, certainly. Let's see. I know they have a table in here that's like starting events that like where is it? I think it's in the worlds building, magic world creating campaign events 26, I think. Hang on. Here we go. World shaking events. So assault or invasion, rebellion, revolution, extinction or depletion, new organization, discovery. So this game is going to act as kind of the discovery expansion and invention. The Viridescent Valley has yet to be claimed because of reasons I haven't figured out yet. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there has been something there, and the fact that somebody has recently settled it or is attempting to settle it is crazy. There are ruins of a former attempt at making a homestead here, so that's a overarching story they can look into and figure out what happened there. Um, as far as that, there, I'm hoping that they, again, I'll figure this out as we go. I'm hoping that at some point the players or the characters will discover some sort of new plant life or fauna or creature or magic, a portal. I don't know. I haven't decided. There's something in the Viridescent Valley that is special. I know that. And right now I'm focusing on the characters as far as like that kind of thing. And I'm going to try to take inferences from them to kind of figure out what they would be most interested in introducing to the world. Um, the place that they're going is just entirely trying to put up a uh, a community based around people that are a little different and maybe don't have anywhere to go or whatever it is. It's just she's the creator of this place is trying very hard to make a place for anyone else that doesn't have a place because she feels she didn't have a place for reasons. And you behave yourself. Um, so yeah, that's where we're at there. So I'm going to consider this as a discovery, expansion, invention kind of game, overarching story. As for elsewhere in the world, I'm gonna have to figure out more about the nations surrounding the area. I'm called personally to figure out more about the Diamondback Desert and like the nation in which it is in, just because it seems cool to me. It sounds cool, and I think it would be fun to have that kind of desert adventure. It would help with our Gynosphinx character to discover more. It could be linked to the ancient secrets of the first people here, which were the Fae. Uh, that kind of stuff. So I'm thinking that's the first nation I'll figure. It's also the closest nation to Arcadia, so it's going to be interesting what kind of tensions might brew there, or what agreements need to be made between the two rulers, that kind of thing. So there's lots of possibilities there. Um, I know I need to figure out more landmarks and stuff because I've got a forest and I've got a mountain range. So I've definitely gotta figure out more stuff regarding that. So um, I know I've got a lot more work to do. Mm. dunes, I guess. So that's interesting. Like if not necessarily those aren't in scale, but if like it was a very mountainous kind of desert, it would be very interesting to mess with. Just these huge dunes of sand, and that's where like ancient temples and stuff are. That'd be fun. We could definitely mess with that. Um, yeah, as far as the ruler of the nation where the Diamondback Desert is, because I don't think the whole nation is called the Diamondback Desert. It's probably called something much cooler. Um, hmm, definitely need more forests. Definitely, definitely. Um, because if I'm gonna have a cozy witchy game, whoops, there's gotta be a lot of forests where they are. And I know that like aspects of this game so far might strike people as maybe boring if there's nothing going on, but I am trying really hard to build this to the player's wants and needs. So, so if they say they're interested in any kind of story like that can be told, that's what I'm going to be basing a lot of the big happenings around, just because I want them to have fun, and since they're new to the game, I want to show them that, again, anything can happen. They can make things happen, of course, and to not to not be hesitant in bringing up ideas, that kind of thing. So that's why maybe this seems a little bare bones as far as societal events and setups and things like that. Just because I am giving it time and letting it rest so the characters can interact with the world and kind of lead me in one way or another to what they're looking for, basically. So so yeah, that's my initial idea. We can definitely play around with wars and big societal stuff later. I'm not too worried about it right now. Waiting for that spark to come from the play. Yeah, exactly. Because you never know when that stuff they start talking and you're like, that's a brilliant idea, and all of a sudden, that's where some of the best ideas can come from. I don't. Again, this stream has helped me from feeling like I'm creating in a vacuum. Blah, blah. But it's the players that are really gonna bring it forward and make it something real specific to them. Oh, the words are getting buried. I gotta move those up a layer. Make the Harlequin forest a little bit more. Oh, that was the other thing is we figured we were talking about the Harlequin of the forest and why it was called the Harlequin forest, and we've decided that the quote unquote thing that haunts the forest and why it's called that, they're gnolls. It's this ghostly laughter that you hear elsewhere, and there's probably one big fucking knoll that that is specific to the area, and maybe it's their chief or any number of other things. But but yeah, it's gonna be a group of gnolls in some aspect, and they're gonna be the Harlequin gnolls. Why are they called that? Aside from the laughter, of course, but yeah, I'm excited for that. That's gonna be fun. How do I move you up? How do I do that? Do I just drag it? No. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Control up. Okay. There we go. And let's see if I can get Aberdeen to work. Maybe not. And Diamondback. Where's the text? Okay. You need to move up. Hmm. But yeah, I'm excited to see what these players, because again, this is the first time they've been like really let go in a world to like figure figure it out and like be creative. Because the other games that we've been playing, not badly, he's running for 10 freaking people. Uh, it's been a little railroady because it has to be if you want to get anything done. So um, so this is going to be, I think, their first foray into really open world kind of D&D, and I'm hoping they enjoy it and that it's not too much. that's the that's the danger of true open world kind of stuff, is it can be scary to new players. But here's hoping that is not the case. Okay, there we go. Um, yeah, it's gonna be fun. I might need to coax them every now and again, but that is totally okay. We will figure it out together. I do like the shape of the world so far, definitely. It's it's very interesting to look at, I think. Um, it's gonna be fun to play in, and they're gonna. I'm hoping that they look at the map and go, "Well, what's over here?" and we can talk about it and that kind of stuff. I'm excited. Uh, yeah. No, 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 no. Whoops. There we go. There we go. Just a couple extra islands. And I mean, if the characters want a beach episode kind of stuff, which I mean, this whole thing is supposed to be kind of a beach episode, more or less. Uh, they definitely have their choice of environs in which to relax. So that's another fun one. Uh, I fully endorse beach episodes when needed for the players, where it's just like nobody wants to do sad stuff. Okay, cool. You're all teleported to this place and let's play some volleyball or something. Sometimes you gotta do that, man. Like, usually that's what downtime is in my games. Downtime tends to last a while out of game. Like, it's usually like a day or two. But me and my husband, when we have downtime, we're just like, okay, we're gonna do adorable like errand running things and have like sit down chats between characters that last the full session. Like, that's it. And it's fun because it helps us get into the characters' minds and really add depth to them, I think. Yeah. So yeah, that those are always an option. There's going to be a lot of downtime in this game for people to interact with people. Do we need D&D beach volleyball rules? Does that exist? I gotta look that up. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be something like athletics checks and stuff. Dungeons and Dragons. This is gonna. Hang on. I'm gonna move this over just in case I get something inappropriate. Volleyball rules. How to run a sport in D&D. Thank you, Reddit. There we go. If anything, if it's anything like school, all you have to do is give them a ball and assume they know the rules. Group dex check. Whenever it tries, I just have them roll for each part of the game. Even you do the thing, odd you don't. Nice and simple. Sure, it doesn't reflect how a fighter would beat a wizard at football, but it keeps the game from bogging down. I doubt they want to play pretend volleyball on all session. So hey, guess what? We're not the first people to think of volleyball within D&D. Trapped room that has a sport in it. Trying to get the ball into the goal, a bit like Quidditch or lacrosse. Use it as inspiration for rules. Well, shit. It already exists in like official stuff. Section 29. Dear Lord. Here we go. Disabled trap. Eh? I think this... Oh, what you got? 5e volleyball rules. Oh my god. It's even more specific than I thought. Athletic skill check. Net. Random spot in your opponent's side of the court. Success. Natural 20. Auto success. Move the ball to one square of your opponent's side of the court. Look how cute! Oh my god. It looks like a dice fest of the highest order, and I'd maybe tolerate playing best to 3. Yeah, that's fair. That is a lot. That's a lot to figure out. I would probably just be like, okay, everybody do athletics checks, and I'll let you know if you win. But that is cute. I like it. I guarantee the person like actually plays volleyball because I don't. Group athletics, yeah, against a static DC. Yeah, maybe that would be. I mean, there's a happy medium between that dice fest and like let's just roll dice once and figure it out. There's definitely a happy medium, and I would guess it would be some sort of like extended check, like if you get like 3 out of 5 checks, like you win or something like that, and then like rolling off, and then yeah, I don't know, something like that. It would be a medium between those two things because that's a lot. That's a lot of rules. That's a lot of very sudden stuff to worry about. Oh goodness, excuse me. Oh my god. Oh my god, I should have like done some yoga or something today to like wake myself up. Uh, give the ball an AC. Oh my god, that's too much. That's too much math on the fly for me. No, 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 no. No, thank you. I get why people want to do it that way, but nah, 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 nah. There are other games that do what you're trying to do better. Or you could just like everybody go outside and actually play volleyball. That would be hilarious. Like why not make a day of it and be like, cool, next session we're going to the beach or we're going to the park or something like that, and whoever wins it wins. You'd have to get another group of friends to like play the bad guys. That would be really funny. That if you have enough people that are into it, that'd be hilarious. It'd be fun. I love that idea. Um, but beach volleyball. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of beach episodes. I don't care. I understand that they're filler, but sometimes your players slash your characters need to have a cookout on the beach and have some like romantic tension between some characters or some NPCs or whatever. Just something. I sometimes it's nice to have that, and I think it helps remind everybody that it's a game. Games are meant to be fun, and they don't have to be super serious all the time. It's those serious moments are great and can be beautiful moments, but too much without a good balance the other way, for me, can be way too much. And it's if it's nothing but bad things that are happening to you and your group, then I don't want to play it. It's like that. What is that saying? I forget the name of the author, but was it an author? I can't remember, but it was about writing books, and it's any problem that your character can walk away from, meaning the character in the book, your readers can walk away from. And maybe I'm an asshole, but I find a lot of book series and sometimes games have problems that my character can really easily walk away from. or if the problem gets to be too big too soon, and like you have to deal with that issue of your character like almost knowing that nothing can be done. And so you have to be careful with that, which I'm trying really hard to be careful, because I've had DMs that like first session, no lie, first session they introduced the end of the world. Like, and I was just like, you didn't give me enough time to care about the world. I need to care about the world first, and then you go from there. But it was literally, we were at some sort of celebration or something, and then it was like less than half hour in game playing these characters, and then all of a sudden we dealt with the end of the world, like this big prophecy blotting out the sun kind of thing, and then followed upon we met like four like level 20 like characters, and they were like, "That's a problem," and we're like, "Cool, we're level 1. Good luck with that. Have fun. You're level 20. What the fuck are we gonna do about it?" So in books and in games, you gotta watch that build up, that and it matters, because yes, you want your characters to solve big problems, but there's a build up to it. I think anyway. So um, I understand if you want to tell a story about the end of the world, but you have to tell your players that and let them come in at a better level than one. um, yeah, that's what like this was way back. This was before session zeros were really a thing. This was just a friend going, "Hey, I have a game I want to run. Are you chill with this kind of game?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Do you want to play in this game?" And we just said yeah, and then we ran one session of it, and we were like, No, we're good." So I think that might have been one of the things that inspired me to GM. Strangely, it's just like I feel like I can do better, and this is not a shame to him. It's just the lack of communication can really, really kill a game. So if your players enter into a game with one kind of character, and you're like, "Hey, your funny bard or whatever is now in an apocalyptic scenario," that's not what I wanted to do. If I knew we were going into a literally an apocalyptic scenario, I would have made a completely different character. So things to keep in mind. That's why session zeros are important. Uh, yeah. So um, so yeah, I am very tired today. So it's a bit early, but I think I'll call it here. And I think on Wednesday I'm going to do something to get my blood pressure like up, and like some activity in me before. But I think I'm just still recovering from the weekend, and I apologize if this was a more low energy stream. Hopefully other ones won't be like that. But like, there's been a couple times where my throat wants to just give out, so I'm gonna go stop talking for the rest of the day. And yeah, but I appreciate you guys for stopping in. I hope you had some fun. Continue to ask questions about the world of Galdor, because it helps me think of things that maybe I don't think of. I will ponder upon the calendar and events idea within the world, and maybe think of some holidays and stuff. So hopefully on Wednesday I'll have some setup and some ideas for that, and we can build upon that. I'm excited because building holidays is super, super fun. But I'm gonna go drink some tea, and hopefully my throat calms down. And I will see you guys Wednesday. Have a wonderful week. Don't forget to play pretend. Enjoy any world building creativity that you get to do. Drink some water and have a good day and a good week. I will see you on Monday. Bye.